Well, I guess that's one way to make sure you're going to get a standing ovation, right? Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome to Atlanta, Georgia. I'm glad to be here home with you as well, and hope you're having a great time already. You having fun? Great. I listened to a little part of what Alex was talking about, and he said, you may not remember in 3 days. We used to tell our staff, and I like to tell my staff today, about something that reminds me of what you all do, because I still remember. It goes like this. You may not remember what I said. You may not even remember what I did, but you will remember how I made you feel. You know, that's the power that you all have over children, because I'm standing here telling you I can still feel the love from our lunchroom ladies when I was in middle school and elementary school and high school. So thank you very much. Lynn and Becky, thank you for a wonderful introduction, and it is great to be here with you for just a little small crowd of, 7,000 professionals here and nutritional professionals. It's a delight to be here with you, and I want to just take an opportunity to tell you how humbled I am to be a partner with you, to really serve you in your profession because of what you do and how you have done it over the years. And I want to thank our USDA staff for being here that works closely with you. I want to thank, where's our Georgia home crowd? I think we got some Georgia folks down there. Okay, all right. So those folks know I love them. So anyway, it's good to get out of Washington, I can tell you that, and meet with the people who do the real work as well. So, and you're the ones who feed millions of children every day, and God bless you for that. It's really why it's especially meaningful to be working at your side, because you provide something that's noble, food, and you think about that. You directly influence, you nurture, and you mold the lives of the most important people in our country. That's our young generations. You may know my mother was a teacher, my wife was a teacher, I've got cousins and aunts and uncles that are teachers. In fact, my uncle was the school superintendent about 100 miles south of here for 20 years in that period of time. So people who work closely with children in schools are very much a part of my life. My mother taught English for 42 years, so if I leave any dangling participles today, please don't tell her, okay? I have my own focus group as well that you may know about that has kept me up to date on what goes on in school and in the school cafeteria. That's 14 grandchildren. So they know what's good and what's not, and they tell me about it. So, you know, you may have heard my comment lately. The school nutrition professionals today, affectionately, I still call lunchroom ladies. Is that okay? Hope that's not too pejorative for you all, but we understand, guys, forgive me, but when I grew up, it was lunchroom ladies. And some of my fondest memories, and I can literally still remember, talking about feeling, I can still remember the faces of those wonderful women who served us every day. And I can still smell, and if I close my eyes, I can almost taste those cinnamon rolls that they would prepare at Rumble Junior High School in Warner Robins. Oh, I'm hungry already. And you know what? Back then, there was very little childhood obesity. Why is that? Because we played outside all the time, and there were nutritious meals at home. So, but we know times have changed, and today you're still responsible for providing many times the main meal for many children, and you take those challenges on head on, and you do well. Frankly, I told someone yesterday, one of your members, one of my friends in Houston County, that our school professionals today are kind of being blamed for some of our meals, like our teachers being blamed for the education, where kids spend 6, maybe 8 hours at school and 20 or 16 at home, and yet you still get the blame, right? So that's what happens. So like living around many educators, I learned some pretty important principles about your calling as school nutritionist. What I learned was these directly relate to the partnership with USDA, and I want to share a few of the most important ones that I found. You know this. You know it by what you do every day. You see it. But first of all, hungry children cannot learn. That's so. I don't mean to sound so profound for that, because that's simple but basic, but it can get lost in the conversation about education. Children need good, basic nutrition to grow physically, mentally, and emotionally. Today, many of us cannot even fathom the environments that some of our school children come to school in. You see them, you know them. We can buy the latest cutting-edge technology. We can build and equip the best classrooms. We can hire and train the brightest teachers and administrators. But if that child sitting in that ergonomically designed seat and desk with a smart board in front of it is hungry, then learning is going to be a bigger challenge. Secondly, school nutritionists know more about their students than most people realize. I've got a theory I'd like to share with you. I bet after the first 6 weeks of school, any school year, you give school nutritionists a list of the students on the school roll, and then ask the school nutritionist to estimate the grades or maybe the performance of each student. I bet there's a correlation between your estimates and how the school students actually perform in the classroom, because you have a significant insight into the students that you serve. Thirdly, students must like the food enough to eat it. Pretty basic, right? This isn't rocket science. If children do not eat the food, it goes in the trash, and food that's thrown in the trash cannot nourish any child. And frankly, that trash can doesn't need any nourishment. Because of the work you do and the vital input that you gave, one of my first actions as Secretary of Agriculture was directly because and in support of you. For many of you, it's been a struggle to meet the school meal standards that came out of Washington in recent years. We heard you, but more importantly, we listened. Just as soon as I got to USDA, the very first thing we did was to announce new flexibilities in the school meals program. I take that applause as you approve. Now, some have suggested that I was lobbied heavily to take this action, and to some degree, that's true. I had a bunch of kids talk to me about how they didn't like their school meals anymore. In fact, one of my childhood friends had a 12-year-old granddaughter, and he was telling her about what the USDA secretary was responsible for. Many things, but it got around to school lunch program and how the USDA was involved in the school lunches. She said, "Grandpa, that's great. Can Mr. Sonny make school lunches great again?" So I know I cannot, but you can, and we're going to do our best to help you. Also, as you may know, heard from school nutritional professionals. You told us instead of preparing menus for students, you were spending too much time interpreting the ever-changing guidelines, implementing regulations, and preparing for audits. In fact, many of your vendors and food distributors were opting not even to bid on those school contracts because of the complexities and the liabilities and the overhead involved, which helped to drive up costs for our schools as well. In short, the new school guidelines were creating bookkeeping headaches and menu problems and distracting you from the real job of feeding the kids nutritious and appealing meals. So, as you may know, we addressed 3 different areas that kind of came to the surface as we talked to many people. That was grains, sodium, and milk. Some schools were experiencing challenges in finding the full range of products that they needed and that their students would enjoy, particularly in the whole grain-rich form. So we announced that we will allow states to grant exemptions to students from the 100% whole grain-rich requirements through the 2021 school year. For sodium levels, we said that all schools which meet the current sodium target 1 will be considered compliant through the same year of 2020. And as for milk, we want to allow schools to be able to serve 1% fat-flavored milk, give students greater choice, and give schools greater flexibility. These changes provide hopefully more certainty to both schools and food providers while we work through the process to find more permanent solutions. But we need you. We need you and your council to continue giving us feedback as we work together to further ensure nutritious and appetizing meals are being provided to our children. Now, some have said in the press, as you've read, that we're rolling back. These moves roll back progress. I don't agree with that. We're freezing things in place to help us evaluate what the palatability, what the acceptance of these changes have been, and to reduce the burdens on schools to give you where you can get back to feeding kids and not doing paperwork so much anymore. I hope you found that our technical experts are there for you, many in this room, who can help assist schools to meet those standards that are there. And besides, if the program isn't working as desired, as intended, is it really progress? Others have said the current program is a success because most schools are compliant already. I said, if all the means is they obeyed orders under the threat of the federal government taking away their money, I guess I'd be compliant too. I found that only in Washington, D.C. can something be called a success just because people were doing what they were told to do. That's not success, ladies and gentlemen. That's just numbers on a spreadsheet. And we trust you to get to the heart and to the palate of those kids that you're feeding. Just because schools are following direct orders doesn't mean those orders make any sense. And since when does all the wisdom about feeding kids reside in Washington, D.C.? But I want to tell you how gratifying it was to have the support of the School Nutrition Association when we announced the program, because we consider the School Nutrition Association and the USDA to be partners in this endeavor. In fact, your own outgoing president, Becky Bays, was there, present in Loudoun County, when we attended that elementary school there to announce that. And I want to tell you something else that's fresh news this morning. We've invited Lynn and our incoming board and the committee work in your committee day in Washington to come give us direct, specific advice how we can make the best rules going forward possible. Trust is important, and I want to say unequivocally, I trust you. And that's why we've asked your leadership, elected leadership in the board of the Nutrition Association, to come help us figure out the best way to make this work for all of our kids and all of our families out there. You can see the evidence of that partnership right here at this conference. We've got more, I think, than 25 representatives of our food and nutrition service here today, including many who are based right here in Atlanta. And we've got 3 booths on the exhibit floor, and our people are also staffing the USDA help desk and out by the registration area, and hopefully are answering any questions that you've had recently. All this because I'm convinced we have the same goals in mind, and that's the health and vitality and nourishment of our young people. You know, as I indicated earlier, you know the children who are in your care. You know the needs that are unique to your school and your community, wherever you may live. You need to have the flexibility to fit your meals to the needs of the children that you serve, where you are. While the intent of the original rules in the program were good, the reality was somewhat different. Additionally, your dedication and creativity was being stifled. You were forced to focus your attention on strict, inflexible rules handed down from Washington. Even worse, you experienced firsthand that the rules were failing. So we wanted to put more decision-making into the hands of the folks at the local level. Let me just give you a simple illustration. My wife, Mary, is known for her delicious pound cakes. She can make quite a pound cake. Now, she didn't have any professional nutritionist training to do that, but I'm the scientist in the family. I'm a graduate veterinarian, and I want to ask you, had you rather have a pound cake cooked by this scientist or the lady who knows what she's doing, right? That's the example here. That makes common sense to me. So you want to have the flexibility to fit your meal programs into the needs of the children that you fit there as well. So we wanted you to be in charge, and that's what we hope to do. Local is where we want it to come from, and finding sources for your food as well. We know that you have vendors and distributors and people here that help you accomplish your goals, and we want that to be even better. As you know, one of my goals as Secretary of Agriculture has been to open up new markets for farmers everywhere. And the first thing when we think about that may be foreign markets, and that's definitely a major target area for us. But one market we also want to expand is the locally grown food. You tap into this valuable source to feed the children you serve, and you know it's good, nutritious, wholesome, and you know Farmer Jones just down the road, right? So more than 42,500 schools participate in a farm-to-school market. Over 23.6 million students learn the benefits of farm fresh food. Over 7,000 schools have a garden right on site. And this gives students a real live opportunity to cultivate and to grow their own food. These students gain an increased understanding of the miracle of life and where their food comes from. And we have opportunities to grow our farm-to-school programs, and we want to make it easier for you to do so. Of course, being right here in Atlanta, Georgia, I've got to give a shout out to our Commissioner of Agriculture, Gary Black, and his Georgia Grown program. They're working with our youngest students to teach them about local products so they can begin to influence household buying decisions, hopefully as they seek out locally grown farm products. So I want to encourage each of you, if you're not doing that already, to work with your state departments of agriculture on growing your farm-to-school partnerships. I think you and your hungry mouths that you feed will be blessed. Locally grown food and hands-on gardening experience in schools can only be good for our children. Let's think about what your role is. I once heard a story about two bricklayers working near each other. A man stopped by and asked them what they were doing. One man just looked up rather solemnly and said his job was just to lay bricks. The other hopped up with a smile on his face and stopped his work, and he gazed up into the sky, and with deep emotion and passion and conviction, he said, "I'm building a great cathedral to the glory of God." So that really is about the big picture, ladies and gentlemen. The influence you can have on the lives of tomorrow is immense. Just last week when President Trump spoke to a large crowd in Warsaw, Poland, in that address he spoke about the vital importance of our culture, our freedoms, and our shared values. It's really what sets us apart in world history if you think about it, and we should be unapologetic in being proud of what you have accomplished. This United States is a great and blessed nation, and part of what makes us great are people like you, part of the system that nurtures future generations. And frankly, you never know the impact that you have on lives of the children that you serve. That little boy or that little girl that you encourage in the lunchroom one day, you may discover to be a Nobel Prize winning breakthrough in medicine or food production. And I could tell you about another little Georgia boy, little Georgia farm boy, who grew up to have the opportunity and honor to be governor of Georgia and then Secretary of Agriculture. I can tell you my lunchroom lady in Warner Robins High School that taught me lessons about life and living in many ways. Mrs. Chambers was there for many years. She had a daughter named Shirley, who was one of the early thalidomide babies. What I learned about Miss Chambers and her daughter Shirley was Shirley worked with her mother there in the lunchroom. She had virtually no arms, but she would sit on a stool there and make change, take payment and make change with her toes and her feet. It demonstrated to me the power of a dedicated life, a dedicated mom who was dedicated not only to feed children about food, but to show them how we can accomplish great things if we don't know our limitations or disabilities. So I want you to know how honored I am to be your partner in school nutrition and how honored I am to be the Secretary of Agriculture. It's a big, vast job, but I want to tell you this. I don't really know of anything more important than what we do to feed our children. Our motto at the USDA, our new motto is do right and feed everyone, and that includes school children. This is not a job. It's a mission. It's a high calling with which I'm passionately committed. And my mission is to serve you and those children that you serve. So thank you for allowing to come just briefly today and share my heart with you. May God bless you. May God bless the children that you serve. May God bless your organization. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.